Hey everybody, a lot of people have been asking me about my new bike, asking me questions about it and showing some interest in it, so I thought maybe I'd just go ahead and give you a little bike tour. This is a Quintana Roo, as you can see. Really good bike. This is what's called a time trial bike or a triathlon bike, depending on who's riding it. Quintana Roo is a really good brand. It used to be, I think, one of the most popular brands out there. I think kind of the flavor of the day now is Canyon, but to be honest with you, to most riders, there's no difference between Canyon, Trek, Specialized, Quintana Roo, or any one of a dozen others, but this is the one I got and I like it. I've had Trek in the past, great bike. I had a Specialized in the past, great bike. But this is the one I have now. As you can see, it's the XPR version. So for tri-bikes, Q-Roo has 3 different levels. I don't remember what the other 2 models are, but this is actually the lowest level. I mean, they have 2 other levels that are higher than this. So I did get the lowest level. The difference isn't much. I mean, the aerodynamics, the frame, all that stuff is basically the same from model to model. It's just weight. Those other ones are, materially lighter. Again, to somebody like me, there's no, for me anyway, I didn't feel like there was any justification for getting the higher end bike and spending another, $5,000. But bikes have changed a lot since I was riding in 2019, 6 years ago. They've changed a bunch. One of the things that have changed, no particular order, is, now you can, basically every bike comes with disc brakes. That wasn't the case. In 2019, disc brakes were coming out and they were out, but they weren't prevalent like they are now. In fact, I don't know for sure, but I'll bet you can't even get a bike now with the old rim brakes. The older bikes used to have, like the brakes were mounted up here, and they'd come down and clinch around the rim. Those rim brakes, I don't even think they have those anymore. I'll bet if you buy a new bike, they don't even come with rim brakes. Another upgrade or another improvement or another advancement, whatever you want to call it, is shifting. I'm old enough to remember when you used to have, levers back here at the stem. Like literally you'd have a lever here and a lever here and you'd shift it up and down that way. But here you have these little buttons essentially on the end of the triathlon bars, the tri bars, and then more buttons down here and over here, and they're wireless. There is no wire that comes there. They used to have wires that would come down here, maybe go through the frame, and then it would pop out down here somewhere for the front, and then probably run a cable down here for the back. Obviously they don't have that anymore. It's all electronic. So you just push this button here on the right, the rear derailleur goes right. You push this button on the left and the rear derailleur goes left. You push them both at the same time and the front derailleur moves. So that's something a lot different. And I haven't ridden this bike much, only 10 miles, but I really like that. I think it's very cool. Another change since when I was riding are these tires. These are tubeless tires. Now those were coming out when I was riding last time, but they weren't, again, just kind of like the disc brakes, they weren't prevalent. So there is no tube inside this tire. The tire itself just clinches to the frame, and then there's air inside of it, of course. And the other thing about these, from what I've heard, is if you get a nail that punctures it, there's a resin, I don't know if that's the right word or not, but there's a liquid in there that should seal it. So you can, if maybe not finish the ride, you can at least get back home. My last bike had tubes in it, so if you had a flat tire, you had to change it right out there on the road, which is no big deal. It's easy to do. Changing flats was not hard. So I didn't mind it, but that's how this one came, so that's how it is. This right here is just a storage box. I don't know if I can open this up with one hand or not. There we go. See, without the light here. But you can put things like, repair kits, tools, things like that. Has a bento box. Most people use that for, nutrition, gels, bars, things like that. But you can really put anything you want in there. So that's the bike itself. Now, a couple things that I've added to it is, oops, I think it got timed out on me. Yeah, so I've never ridden with a bike computer before, but I decided to get one for this one. So this is a Garmin, as you can see. And, you know, if you're familiar with Garmin, you know that they just will data dump you to death. If you have a Garmin watch, you know, it gives you all kinds of data on your Garmin watch if you're a runner. And this one here is no different. You know, this here I have it set up obviously for road bike, but you can set it for mountain bike. You can set it up for gravel bike. You can set up for e-bikes. You can set up for a lot of things. And you can also, if there's a route you want to ride that you're not familiar with, you can, I don't know if I can scroll over here or not. Yeah, so you can actually download that map, and it's just like navigation in your car or your truck, and it can give you turn by turn. And you can also upload it too. But it gives you a ton of features. Oh, I forgot. One of the other upgrades on this bike is in here, I'm not going to take this cover off, but in here is a power meter. So what power meters do is you know, they try to it measures the amount of energy that you can transfer from your body to the pedals. So the amount of energy that goes from your legs into these pedals and cranks, so it makes your bike go faster. It's measured in watts. I don't understand the engineering, don't understand the science behind it, or anything of that, but I know that that's the big thing now, is measuring it, measuring your power meter. Again, that was another one that was just kind of coming out when I was riding last. A lot of them, the power meters were actually in the pedals, which I can see some advantages to that. But this power meter is down here. And so when you talk, or if you ever pay attention to, you know, riders on the tour, professional triathletes, you know, they talk about these giant watt bombs that they put out, like, you know, hundreds and hundreds of watts of power. You know, you get an old guy like me that was never very strong, never a really strong rider, and I will probably be watt shamed when I get on this thing and start using it. I will probably not have anything near that much. You know, I'm even afraid to even say it out loud, but I don't even know if I'll get 100 watts out of my old, decrepit, weak legs, but we'll give it a go. So that's nice. I like it. Now, a couple of the other, going back to the bike computer. So the power meters down here in the crank actually talks to this up here. So if I can scroll back, yeah, there is a, you know, this is your power here, time of day, speed, time, distance, uphill, downhill, things like that. And there's a bunch of other data fields I can put on there, and I might later, I don't know. I can actually also use this, my Garmin bike computer, I can actually use that to shift, because those blips is what these are called. These are called blips. Actually talk to that as well. And so I don't know why you'd want that, but you can. Another thing that I have on this that I've upgraded is I've put, you know, let's do the front one first. You know, I put a light. Yeah, the light turned off. It timed out on me, but let's see if I can get it turned back on here. There we go. So the front light, as you can see, it's a safety feature, but also has a camera, which I can also control through my Garmin computer. But it has a camera that can record. It has one of those little SD microchips in there, so it can record. You know, let's say you're riding through the city and a car pulls out in front of you and you get into a wreck. You know, that's basically a dash cam for your bike. The video quality, I don't know what it is, but it's good enough that you can get a description of the car. You get the license plate. You know, if there's not any glare or reflection off the windows, you can probably get a picture of the driver. But, you know, the light is obviously a safety feature. We like that. And then on the back, this one is also a light. It's timed out too, I think. Yeah, that's also a light too. And so what this one does is obviously the light. You want to be visible. It also has a camera, so it will record anything coming up from behind you. So if you have a car that comes up behind you, you know, wants to be a jackass and yell and scream things at you and throw beer cans at you, which has happened to me before. Somebody out in the country in Indiana, somebody threw a beer can at me, missed me, but I would have video of it. But this also has a radar on it, and so it detects oncoming vehicles that will then display up here. There will be like a lane, like a road lane display up here, and when vehicles come up, you'll see them as dots on here, and they'll come up, and so you can see it as you don't have to turn around behind and look behind you, which is dangerous. So you can just see them coming up on you. So I have obviously told Susan, if I get into a wreck or something happens to me, grab those cameras, grab both of those cameras, because those SD discs, cards, might have something on them that can help figure out what happened. The Garmin is also set up that if something like that does happen, if there's an abrupt change, like I stop moving abruptly, or there's an erratic movement or something like that, it will send a notice to Susan and say, hey, something may have happened, and if something does happen, it'll tell her which ditch I'm in, come get me, or send somebody that can come get me. So anyway, so the big question some people have is, how much did this cost, right? Well, I'll tell you, without the light, without the pedals, bikes don't come with pedals, without the Garmin, without that, I was able to get this. Again, keep in mind, this is the not introductory level, but this is the lowest level bike, triathlon bike Crew has. And I was able to get it because of Black Friday pricing. I got it shipped, taxes and everything, for less than $10,000. Now there'll be some people out there probably just lost their shit over that. $10,000, oh my God. It is a lot of money. It's totally a lot of money. But, it's less than half of that Indian motorcycle I wanted to buy. And I don't have to plate this. I don't have to register this. I don't have to insure this. This is a healthier option because, I want to stay in shape and get back in shape, actually, not just stay in shape, but get back in shape. And I just like riding my bike. I like getting out there and riding a bike. And so I'm going to enjoy this a lot. I have plans to do at least one more Ironman distance triathlon. That'll be a good bike for that. So yeah, that's a lot of money. I got it in under $10,000, which is kind of my goal. But you can pay tons more than that. I mean, some of these professional bikes out there that if you ever watch on the tour, or a professional like a Kona triathlon, I mean, those bikes, I don't know how much they cost, but I'd be shocked if you got those bikes at less than 20 grand. More, probably even more than that. But for those folks, it matters. That's their livelihood. That's how they make a living. Anyway, that's my bike. I love it. I've only put about 10 miles on it so far, but my plan is to put thousands of miles on that bike.